Hey there, business owners. So, I'm going to start this episode off with one of the wildest stories that I've heard in the event industry. I've heard a lot of wild ones. This is just one of them. So, a DJ was setting up kind of all of their equipment. It included a disco ball for the wedding reception. The party was going great. Then the disco ball literally came crashing down. Other lighting things came crashing down onto the dance floor. There was a lot of injured guests. And then the kicker was the lawsuit started flying after the event. Not only was the DJ named, but so was the venue. I also have another story for you. A photographer's assistant accidentally knocked over a priceless vase at a historic hotel. Photographer named, venue named. Or a planner's intern was walking out with the couple's wedding gifts. Are you kidding me? These all kind of sound like once in a lifetime freak accidents, but after kind of more than a decade in this industry, I can tell you that they happen more often than you think. Just literally go into the TLP community on Facebook, just type in tlpfacebook.com, and you're going to see these all the time. They come up at least once a week, if not a few times a week. This, my friends, is exactly why venue owners now are caring so much about your insurance as a wedding vendor. And venues are not trying to really make your life harder or add on more paperwork. It's truly because we are in a litigious society. Negligence happens, people get injured, and then they start suing. And venues don't want to foot the bill when something goes wrong that really truly wasn't their fault at all. Maybe they are counter at fault, but for the most part, it's someone else, like another vendor, that should be on the hook. So today, I'm going to talk about business insurance for event pros, what a certificate of insurance is, and then what quote unquote additionally insured actually means when a venue asks you about it, and why all this matters when you're a wedding vendor and working with venues and event spaces. So let's get into this.
Hey there, I'm Paige Griffith, your host, an attorney for small business owners, and the founder of The Legal Page. I help online businesses and creatives get legally legit in no time. In this podcast, I break down and simplify legal talk while providing practical business guidance every step of the way. With over a decade of experience in both entrepreneurship and the law, think of me as your go-to legal resource, here to tackle all those what-if scenarios so that you can focus on what you do best, growing your business. As a gentle reminder and disclaimer, I am an attorney, but I am not your attorney, so be sure to seek legal counsel for personalized advice. Welcome to the Legally Legit Podcast.
Alrighty, I want to start with the biggest question that I hear in my Facebook community. Do I really need insurance if I am just a small vendor? The short answer, yes. That's because if your business ever gets sued, liability insurance can truly be the difference between a little stress and then like complete financial ruin or your business doors having to shut. We are talking here tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees and damages and settlement costs. Things add up quickly nowadays. And like I said, it's really unfortunate, but in the United States, everything is pretty litigious. So that means sue happy, AKA sue happy. People are sue happy. And I know that you're probably thinking, maybe you're a photographer and you're like, I'm just photographing weddings. What could possibly happen? There's not a whole lot. And if it is, I can probably pick up the pieces or figure it out. Or, you're just worried about your media and your storage and like things going wrong. But let's run through here some real life examples that I've seen. A memory card not only gets destroyed and the entire gallery is lost, but that is due to someone knocking over your camera at the wedding and it falls into a pool of water. And so it's negligence, yes, but it's also not your fault. And now the venue is kind of on the hook because they didn't put things in the right place, or they negligently like place things there that was like next to a table, all kinds of reasons. Okay. A guest trips over your light stand and breaks their arm. That happens all the time with wedding vendors, not just photographers. A DJ speaker falls over and damages the venue's floor. These are not high. We've all also heard of like you hanging things as a photographer on a certain thing and then the fire alarms go off. Like all of these are not hypotheticals. They're real situations that I have seen event pros face. And without insurance, I've said this, you are on the hook. So I want to sprinkle in here some actual questions that I've seen come up in the legal page community. So you know I'm not just like pulling your leg here. I would never do that. But I'm not just like making this up. These are questions that continually come up. So someone has asked, how much coverage do I actually need? Like insurance coverage. A good starting point, and this is our response to people, is $1 million aggregate coverage with $100,000 per occurrence. We are seeing, though, more venues requiring $2 million in aggregate coverage. So just always check the venues that you shoot at. Check their requirements in advance. Do this kind of during off season. See if they've changed any of their policies so that you can get adequate coverage for the year ahead. But then how much does that cost? People ask us that. Most business owners that I've worked with pay anywhere from about $300 to like $700 per year for liability insurance. Some pay $100 to $200 a month if they've got bigger operations, multiple employees, lots of contractors, lots of gear and equipment. But my pro tip here is bundle it with your home or your car insurance, and you can usually save a lot of money, especially if you're a solo owned LLC or solopreneur, sole proprietor. So another question is, what if I have one event at a venue this year? Can I just get 1 day coverage? Yes, there are special event policies for just 1 day. They are a little bit more expensive than an annual plan, but sometimes that's all you need. So definitely look into that option. If you're working more than a few events a year, of course, it makes way more sense to carry that year round coverage. But a lot of times, some of the venues in your vicinity do not require it, but maybe only one or two does, then I would just get day of coverage. Lots of couples get day of coverage too, and that's something that you should educate your couples on. Another question is, do I still need insurance if I already have an LLC? Yes, 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 yes. Remember the triangle of protection: LLC, contracts, and business insurance. So your LLC protects your personal assets like your house and your car from anything negligent that could happen in your business. It doesn't protect you from intentional acts, but your business assets, so your camera gear, your bank accounts, your future business income, those are still at risk if your contract doesn't save you and or you lose a lawsuit. So insurance is that second line of defense after your contracts. So your contract and the clauses in it and the rights and responsibilities and what the outcome presented in the contractual language is line of defense number one. Then your insurance would kick in. So if the negligent act or whatever occurred cannot be figured out by the contract, then you would probably have insurance come into play. Or maybe this is like, whatever happened was so outside the confines and provisions of your contract that now you're dealing with insurance right away and you're filing a claim, then your insurance would kick in. And then usually what the LLC does is protect the rest of your business assets. So if insurance doesn't cover everything, then you might be on the hook for like your insurance coverage, 80% of the damages at cost, and then your LLC would have to cover the other 20%. But the LLC bubble protects all of your personal assets forever, being risked with a SKED in terms of what you could be liable for. So what are the types of insurance that venues might require? From a venue perspective, there are a few kinds of insurance that they look for. Number one, general liability insurance. It's usually the non-negotiable that covers injury and property damage from negligent situations. They may look for professional liability insurance. This is called E&O insurance, errors and omissions, and it protects against mistakes in your actual services, like not delivering photos. But venues usually aren't looking for that. They're just looking for a CGL policy. And then, of course, if you have any employees that are working for you, they may look for workers' compensation, like requiring if you have any second shooters or assistants that you have proper workers' comp. And then if they're contractors, then you would just have to make sure, that the venue knows that they're contractors and you have contract stating as such, and they are their own business. So you wouldn't need workers' comp in that situation. And then sometimes venues are requiring umbrella policies like luxury hotels, country clubs. Sometimes they require additional coverage limits, and you can just up your coverage for the one day as well. And that would kind of serve as a quasi umbrella policy. So, venues that we have found that tend to be stricter on this is high-end hotels and resorts, historic mansions and estates. Because of course, antiques and like architecture are irreplaceable. We have found this happening a lot with florists who are doing things at museums, art galleries. Think here like priceless exhibits. And mansions, like I mentioned, country clubs, golf courses, even barns or like public parks sometimes require proof of insurance now, just due to degradation of the location. So it's just becoming more and more and more of a thing. And I think it's because venues have such high insurance that, of course, if someone gets injured or something happens, they're going to put the venue on the hook first because they know the venue probably has insurance. But now the venue is like, I'm not the only one that should have insurance here. Every other event vendor should have insurance. And that's totally legitimate from their perspective. So know that they're not just coming after you. It's because of situations that have occurred. They're not just doing this to like make your life more difficult. They truly are trying to protect everyone that could potentially be involved in a situation where injuries or damages occur. Now, I want to talk next about one of the most common pain points is this dreaded COI request from a venue. What is a COI? A certificate of insurance. So what is a COI? A certificate of insurance is simply a document that proves you have coverage. It's like your insurance report card. It's that declaration page that everyone's looking for. Venues ask for it. They need proof that if something happens on their property, you, not they, have insurance to cover it. So they might have some insurance regarding, like a slip and fall on a venue's floor. That is different. That would be only the venue would be liable for that versus a slip into your lighting equipment and then fall on the dance floor. And then they also damage the dance floor. Those are two people involved in something two vendors, the venue and the vendor. So here is how you would handle a COI request from a venue. Number one, call your insurance provider or go online to your insurance login page. Then there'll be a tab that says COI, but sometimes you actually have to call your insurance broker and say, hey, this venue that I'm going to go work for, this event location is asking for a COI. And then the insurance provider would send it on over. My big tip here, try to do this during off season. Keep a COI on hand, keep digital copies of it on hand. Every year when you update your insurance, request a COI, get it digitally, put it in a folder that you will use time and time again, and you know where it's at, because once one venue asks, you can bet that another one in your vicinity, all of this trickles down really quickly, that other venues are going to do it too. The last thing I want to explain here is additionally insured. This needs a solid explanation because people don't really know what it means. I don't know if you even know this, but I worked for insurance law firms for 3 or 4 years. So I know quite a bit about insurance, and I was the go-to insurance law clerk when I worked for the federal judge because there was a lot of insurance disputes, and anything dealing with insurance I knew a lot about. And so I became the go-to clerk that was on those cases. I just know a decent amount about insurance is what I'm trying to tell you. Enough that I'm a lot more dangerous than you are when it comes to the legalities of insurance and how to do this as a business owner and what's right and what's wrong. So additionally insured. I know it makes you nervous because you're like, wait, my policy is making someone else additionally insured. Kind of. The venue, though, just wants to be listed as an additionally insured. So what does that mean? It extends your coverage to protect the venue too. So if something happens and they get named in a lawsuit, all it means is that your policy can step in to defend them so that they're not on the hook right away. Maybe they would be the umbrella policy in that situation. They really do want this even if they have their own insurance, because if you or your equipment cause the problem, your policy should respond first before the venues does. That's just how the sequence of events occur with insurance things. You're going to bring in usually multiple defendants. to a claim. So who all could be liable for this situation? You're going to name all these people. Say you're someone who got injured at a wedding. And an example of this is like a DJ leaving a cord across the dance floor. A guest trips, gets injured, sues both the DJ and the venue. Then the venue would be listed as an additionally insured by the DJ. The DJ's insurance helps defend them instead of the venue's insurance. So the DJ's insurance would be like, yeah, you're additionally insured. I'm going to defend both the DJ and the venue. And then it just goes through one insurance company. When you start adding in multiple insurance companies and multiple lawyers for these insurance companies, because you've never been in an insurance lawsuit, there's also a trifecta thing happening with insurance is they are required to not only get you an attorney, but then the insurance company has its own attorney. So you've got attorneys battling, and then you have the plaintiff's attorney battling. There's three people. There's three lawyers representing three different entities always involved. So cost-wise, adding an additionally insured is usually free. Okay. Sometimes it's a small fee on your premium, but it's usually free. If people or your insurance company or your broker is asking for a boatload of money, you need to go get different insurance. If it's an additional small fee to your premium for that one event, maybe they look at the venue, they like do their due diligence. You could either treat it as a cost of doing business or just ask the venue if they'll cover it. Be like, yeah, sure, I'll add you as additionally insured, but here is the message from my insurance broker, and they're saying that it's going to cost $45 to add you. Will you cover this? If they say no, then maybe you put it on the client. And if they say no, then you probably have to just eat that cost of doing business. But I wouldn't. If they're asking to be an additionally insured and it does cost a fee, I would put that on somebody else that's requesting it. So let's clear up this common misconception here. A certificate holder, that means they're holding your proof of insurance. So if they're a certificate holder, the venue just has proof of your insurance. Additionally insured equals they are actually covered under your policy. Okay. So if they're requesting your COI, they're just a certificate holder. If they're requesting to be additionally insured, then they would get a copy of your COI listing them as additionally insured. And sometimes that's required in certain places like luxury hotels and luxury, photographers and wedding vendors are very, very accustomed to this, but it's becoming more commonplace just in, less fancy places, I guess is the best way to put it. But more, run of the mill wedding venues in your vicinity or a little bit more rural locations. Here's my take on this. At the legal page, my stance is really simple. COI requests are standard. They are not a big deal. Additionally insured requests are increasingly common, especially with luxury and then mid-level venues and sometimes smaller venues now. And ultimately, just having insurance isn't about pleasing a venue. It's about protecting your business and your livelihood and everything you've built and worked so hard for. So even if no one ever asks you for proof of insurance, you should still have insurance in place, because the day you don't is the day that something unexpected happens and shiz hits the fan and you are out of luck. Don't be that person. I don't recommend it. Get your contracts in place first, then your business insurance, and then your LLC. Here's your homework. If you don't have insurance yet, I want you to call an insurance agent this week and get a quote. That's the smartest investment that you can make for your business. And if you've been dragging your feet on this, consider this your loving but firm nudge from your big lawyer sister Paige. Your business, your gear, and your income are worth protecting. For more resources, my friends, please go check out the blogs that I will link in the show notes. And then also listen back to episode 156 of this podcast, where I talk about the 3 lines of defense for every entrepreneur: the contracts, insurance, and business structure. That is it today, my friends. Until next time, keep those contracts airtight, your COIs ready for venues when they request them, and of course, always keep your business legally legit.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's show. Be sure to visit thelegalpage.com for contract templates, blogs, and additional legal resources. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend or on Instagram with your favorite takeaway, and make sure you tag me at The Legal Page. Sharing is one of the best ways you can support the show. And if you've been tuning in for a while and you are finding value in these episodes, it would mean the world to me if you popped over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and left a rating and review. Hearing your feedback absolutely inspires me to continue creating podcast content. Lastly, you can join my free Facebook group at topfacebook.com, and this is where you'll get access to me, my legal team, and thousands of other entrepreneurs for unlimited business and legal Q&A. Until next time, my friend.